Hello, BookTube. Well, as you heard, the mail did indeed come. So we have a small assortment of packages here that I cruelly had to leave in order to go about my business. I couldn't dig in and make a video right at the moment, but I'm back now. Still plenty of ambient light, so you can see me in all of my glory. And let's see if we can go through these. There are a few packages here, and this particular pile ends in 2 boxes, one of which is small and one of which is enticingly large. So there could be some Steve squealing in your future. Let's see here. Oh. Oh. The baby bean. All right, what is the first one here? Oh, goodness. Okay, I requested this. Bean, did you eat a pub sheet? No. All right, no sell sheet for this one. This is by Caitlin Harks. I believe this is a debut novel. Yeah, it's a debut novel. It's The Vexations. It comes out in July, at the end of July. Let's see here. What have we got here? A kaleidoscopic debut novel about love, family, and genius, and the madness of art, circling the life of eccentric composer Eric Satie and the Belle Epoque France. This is the Paris of the Belle Epoque era. Satie begins life with every possible advantage, but after the dual blows of his mother's early death and his father's breakdown upend his childhood, Eric and his younger siblings, Louise and Conrad, are scattered. Later, as an ambitious young composer, Eric flings himself into the Parisian art scene, aiming for greatness, but achieving only notoriety. As the years, then decades pass, he alienates those in his circle as often as he inspires them, lashing out at friends and lovers, such as Claude Debussy and Suzanne Valadon. Only Louise and Conrad are steadfast allies. Together, they strive to maintain their faith in their brother's talent and hold fast the badly frayed threads of family. Okay, so once again, this is a debut novel. I love those, but this is also an incredibly ambitious historical novel. One of a billion that we're seeing in 2019. I love it. I love it. Okay, so that is the summer. That is a big, ambitious historical debut for the summer. So let's move on. Let's see. Okay, this next one is a finished copy of something. Oh, okay. All right. We saw this already. This is due in April, I believe. Yeah, this is due in April. This is also a debut. Oh no, okay, all right. This is also historical fiction, but this is My Coney Island Baby by Billy O'Callahan, and it's being billed as his first literary novel, which I don't know what that means about his earlier novels. He's done 3 short story collections and the novel The Dead House. So I don't know what The Dead House is, and I still haven't looked to see what it is and why it isn't considered literary. So he's taking multiple bites at the debut fiction apple. This is an intimate and beautifully written tale reminiscent of the work of William Trevor. It tells the story of Michael and Caitlin, 2 middle-aged lovers who meet on a bitterly cold winter's afternoon to keep an illicit date. After once a month for the past quarter century, Coney Island has been their haven, the place in which they have abandoned themselves to their love. The novel unfolds over the course of one of those beautiful, carefully rationed days that have long sustained Michael and Caitlin's love and have helped them survive the tedium of their lives separate from each other. But on this winter day, burrowed into their private cocoon, they discover that their lives are on the brink of change. Michael's wife is battling cancer, and Caitlin's husband is about to receive a major promotion which will take her away to the Midwest. After half a lifetime together in their most intimate moments, certain long-denied facts must be faced, decisions made, consequences weighed, and maybe, just maybe, chances finally taken. I remember thinking this when we got the advance copy of this. This is due in the first week of April, and I haven't read the advance copy yet. I dipped my toe in again to sample the prose, sample what was ahead of me, but I didn't read the whole thing. But I know already what my main problem with this book is going to be. I can tell from the pub sheet. I'm going to be asked to sympathize and take as the hero and heroine of the story 2 liars. That plot description it puts a very gauzy spin on things, but what we're talking about here is 2 people who are breaking an oath. They took an oath not to do the thing that they have been doing for 50 years. So I don't. They're thoroughly despicable humans, and I have a feeling this novel is not going to portray them that way, nor expect me to see them that way. It's just going to be, well, you know, the heart wants what it wants. I don't. If you're going to give in to such a thing as that, if you're going to say the heart wants what it wants, then don't take an oath. But we'll see. Probably. Well, actually, now that let's see. Billy O'Callaghan is the author of 3 story collections, and he lives in Cork, Ireland, where he was born and raised. And that is a great cover photo. He is in front of a wall of books, one of which is the Essential Harlan Ellison. I see some Penguin Classics in there as well, though. As usual, well, I'm speaking to the converted here. As usual, when I see a picture like this, I want the schlup to get out of the way so I can look at the books. But one thing I can't tell from the photo, it's always hard for me to tell with humans, is how young he is. We'll see. It could be that the book is more morally complex than I'm giving it credit. So now I'll move on. We've got one of these vacuum press packages. Then we'll do the boxes and we'll be done. So what is this next one? Goodness gracious. Okay, this comes out in August. It has a pretty breathless cover. It's by Steve Kavanaugh. And it's called 13. But the tagline underneath 13 is, "The serial killer isn't on trial. He's on the jury." And it's a butterfly made out of money. Made out of a dollar bill. An origami butterfly made out of a dollar bill. So I have a feeling we're not going to be trucking in much subtlety here. But let's see what we have. Steve Kavanaugh, one of Ireland's leading civil rights attorneys, boy, 2 Irish writers in a row, is the thriller writer that is the biggest... He's the thriller writer that the biggest thriller writers are reading. Okay. From Lee Child to Michael Connolly, Ruth Ware to Ian Rankin, the genre's most recognizable names have raved about Kavanaugh's rip-roaring, wildly clever novels that star Eddie Flynn, the con man turned defense lawyer, who the Irish Times describes as Jack Reacher's younger, hotter-headed brother. I want to write for the Irish Times. Not only are Kavanaugh's Eddie Flynn novels bestsellers in Ireland and the UK, they are critically acclaimed and award-winning. And what about this one? Set in bustling Manhattan and told with prose as visceral and gritty as New York City's dark criminal underbelly. New York City of a certain era, I'm hoping. New York City right now is practically a Disney ride. 13 begins with what appears to be a senseless act of violence. It's anything but. Disguised as a homeless man, serial killer Joshua Kane murders a postal worker in order to steal a jury summons for a court case dubbed The Trial of the Century, in which movie star Bobby Solomon is accused of brutally murdering his beloved actress wife and their security guard. But this open and shut case of love affair gone wrong isn't so cut and dry to Eddie Flynn. As the trial begins, and with evidence strongly against his innocent client, Flynn and the quirky cast of PIs and FBI agents urgently set out to uncover the real killer. As it turns out, he's hiding in plain sight as juror number 13, and he killed to be there. Okay, all right. Well, okay. I mean, we allow thrillers a whole lot of leeway. If you'd set that exact same gimmick in, I don't know, 1890s colonial India, small-town colonial India, maybe. But it doesn't matter if you have somebody else's jury summons. If you're not them, you're not getting on the jury. But that's okay. That's all right. And if it's a trial of the century, voir dire is going to be through the roof. You're going to have to go through a fine-grained spice grater to get on that jury. Something I think that a serial killer probably couldn't do. If you hadn't said it in, present-day Manhattan, it maybe might work. Maybe. Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to see. It says it's set in bustling Manhattan, but it doesn't actually give a time. If there's a chance, maybe, if this is set before the internet, maybe that might work. I wonder if it'll tell me right away It might not, because this is an advanced copy. No, it doesn't start with... Ordinarily, a book like that, if it's set in, like, 1970, it'll start with that. It'll be a little 1970 up on the top of the first paragraph. And it's not there, so... Okay, so... what is it the English majors say? Willing suspension of disbelief? I'm gonna need that, I think. Alright, so let's move on. We've got 2 boxes now. One small. This is the small one. And then one large. Okay. Fantastic. Oh. Alright, this is in early May. I am really hoping to review this for a large audience. This is by Michael Benton, and it is Dinosaurs Rediscovered, the scientific revolution in paleontology. And there is a little velociraptoroid with a thin covering of feathers, multicolored tail. Oh, fantastic. Alright, so it's a heavy book too, so it'll be, it's full of artwork. Just full. Not just black and white photos and illustrations, but also color. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay, fantastic. All right, so I think we saw this already, but I'm happy to sing its praises a second time. Over the past 20 years, the study of dinosaurs has become a true scientific discipline. Remember that? Remember the face I made? New technologies have revealed secret locks in prehistoric bones in ways nobody predicted. We can now work out the color of dinosaurs, their bite forces, top speeds, and even how they cared for their young. And we knew a lot of those things without newfangled science. And even when we didn't have the newfangled science, all of the dinosaur specialists were saying, when we do have newfangled science, this is exactly what it will reveal. So that line about ways that nobody could have foreseen, no. No, but that's okay. Pub sheet writers have to make a living too. In his remarkable new book, Michael J. Benton, one of the world's leading paleontologists, describes the incredible new fossil finds that continue to add to our knowledge, such as giant sauropod dinosaur skeletons found in Patagonia, dinosaurs with feathers in China, and even a tiny dinosaur tail in Burmese amber, complete down to every detail of its filament-like feathers, skin, bones, and mummified muscles. Concurrent with new fossil finds that are the lifeblood of modern paleobiology, he details the advances in technology and the scientific methods that have brought about a revolution in both the scope and confidence of the field. And I read this. Of course, I could not let a dinosaur book go, so I read it and loved it. And there's a chance that I will review it for the Christian Science Monitor. That would be wonderful. I'll have to see. My schedule at the Monitor is a little bit in flux. There's so many good books coming out, and we have only so much space and only so much time. I will try. It's possible. And then we get to this last one. Big, thick box. It says on the sticker that it's from W.W. Norton, which is my favorite non-Penguin publisher. But I'm trying to think what I owe from them that this might be, and I can't for the life of me remember anything that's this big. The closest guess I can make is that maybe this is multiple books. And since it's Norton, it could be Norton Critical Editions. So I get those regularly. Let's see what we have. Oh, okay, yes. Yes, indeed. Okay. It's a whole shipment of Norton Critical Editions. Now, we've talked about, with a note from Norton. Oh, my. Oh, well. Okay, that's wonderful. We've talked about Norton Critical Editions before. We talked about them just today. They give you the text, and then the back half of the book, or the back section of the book, is all kinds of critical support material. So the text will often have notes at the bottom of the page, and there'll always be a short introduction. But then you get essays in the back. So, for instance, if you get, I don't know, Robinson Crusoe, you'll get the text of Robinson Crusoe, you'll get the notes, and you'll get an introduction putting it in its place and time. And then you'll get, for instance, the original historical accounts that inspired the story. You'll get original reviews and reactions of people, counter essays, and then you'll get a smattering of later essays by later scholars, usually leading up to the present day. Invaluable. They were made, of course, as you can tell from that description, they were made with students in mind. But they're invaluable just for anybody. They're just they're endlessly fascinating if the main text, the classic, is something that you love. Then you've got, in one hand, you've got a whole world around that classic. It's an amazing idea, and Norton does it better than anybody. So what have we got here? Okay, the first one is Shakespeare, who really benefits from Norton Critical Editions because it doesn't take long to reprint the plays. So you have all the space in the world for essays, and that's great. And this is The Tempest. Look at that, huh? This is The Tempest, edited by Peter Holm and William Sherman. Fantastic. So, let's see here. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, The Tempest ends here. And all the rest of this is background and supporting essays from a whole wide range of people. Fantastic. So what else have we got? Okay, we've got Wuthering Heights. Great. I don't have a Norton Critical Edition of Wuthering Heights. Fantastic. This is edited by Alexandra Lewis. Wow. Okay. Oh, will you look at that? Okay, this next one is a Norton Critical Edition of Hamlet with Benedict Cumberbatch on the cover as Hamlet. Look at that. And this, I wish I could get up and get it away on that upper shelf. The last Norton Critical Edition also had the latest British young phenom to play Hamlet. It was Jude Law, who's on the cover of the last Norton Critical Edition of Hamlet. Now I have the next one. They've redesigned. These new ones don't look anything like the old ones. This will probably have plenty of new stuff. That's great. That's fantastic. Okay, so two Shakespeare plays that I really like. Okay. We end not just this box, but this mail haul on the strongest possible note. This is a beautiful, gorgeous Norton Critical Edition of the Seamus Heaney translation of Beowulf, with edits and introduction and notes by Daniel Donahue. So this is Seamus Heaney's translation of Beowulf is amazing. It's a marvel. I think it was recognized as that right away. And every time I get a copy, that the American edition has that famous a head all covered in chainmail, no space for the face. And every time I get one of those copies, every single time, out it goes right away. Somebody wanting, there are a million different editions of Beowulf out there. I want one that isn't just accurate, but that gives me a sense of why this thing would have thrilled its readers. Is there any translation out there that does that? And I, whenever I can get the Shea Heaney translation, I get it and I send it out. I at the moment don't have one, and now I do. Now I have not only the poem itself, but a ton of essays of all kinds. The famous essay by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Monsters and the Critics, is in here. That starts things off, and there'll be a bunch of others. Oh boy. Oh, okay, fantastic. All right, well, so how are we going to do a Steve Pyramid here? We're inverse size. This was a pretty good haul. So a little bit bumpy to start with, but it ended aces. So we have Dinosaurs Rediscovered, a new great book on dinosaurs. We have 13, The Serial Killer Isn't on Trial, He's on the Jury. We have My Coney Island Baby. We have The Vexations. So two new, I think Coney Island Baby is mostly historical. Its characters are looking back at various eras of Coney Island. And then to finish off, we have Norton Critical Editions. So we have Wuthering Heights in a new Norton Critical Edition. We have The Tempest, fantastic time for a reread. We have Beowulf in the Seamus Heaney translation, and we have Hamlet with Benedict Cumberbatch on the cover. That's great. Fantastic. So I'm going to have to write a note to the people at Norton and just thank them effusively, because that just made my day. All right, so that is our mail for now. And I don't know if any more mail is coming today, but we've got plenty of other stuff to talk about. So I will come back. Thank you, BookTube.